Hi guys, it's Amanda Giustiniani. How are you? Welcome to our Facebook Live. So, first of all, thanks for joining our group and our page. We're super excited about it. Again, the goal of this group is to really get information out there to help people. I mean, this is a process. Estate liquidation and downsizing is a process that most of us are going to be faced with in our lifetime. Be it with our parents or downsizing ourselves. There's a lot of questions in this world that we play in. We get asked tons of questions every week, and John and I really feel passionate about answering those questions and helping you guys the best way that we know possible. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about determining value. What makes something valuable? Why were some things valuable 15 or 20 years ago that just haven't maintained their value, and all of those things. I really want this to be interactive, so if you guys have questions, please don't hesitate to ask. John can answer them via text. If I see them, I will be happy to answer them while I'm on here. So yeah, we're excited. Again, share it with your friends. There's so many people that going through this process right now, and they're lost and they're overwhelmed. And they don't know where to begin because they have a house full of things, a lifetime of possessions that they have to figure out how to get rid of. That is an extremely overwhelming job. I can promise you that is one of the reasons I do what I do, because at the end of the day, I know that we have completed a task that was either too emotionally or physically challenging for that family or that client, to do, and we've helped them through that process. It doesn't have to be as hard as it feels like it is. It's much easier for someone that's not emotionally invested to go through those belongings, and it happens in a much faster rate as well. So let's go ahead and get started about determining value. A lot of us think things are valuable because of family lore, or Granny told you never to sit on that because it was worth a lot. Or, she bought all these things that have these great and amazing certificates of authenticities and the real boxes. And you know what? It wasn't just Grandma's. I have tubs and boxes of dolls that my parents spent a lot of money on that just haven't maintained their value. There are lots of things that the value is drastically changed, and there's a couple of reasons why, and we're going to talk about that. One of the things, we call it brown wood furniture. That would be your quintessential antiques, so to speak. The things that everyone thinks is valuable because, oh my gosh, it was my great-great-grandma's. Age is not indicative of value. Just because it's old doesn't make it worth a lot of money. And I will caution all of you, if you feel that way, please don't put it in a barn or an attic or an outbuilding. Make sure it's in a climate-controlled environment. It has to stay well-maintained if it has any value and if that market comes back. Oak is a great example. 15 years ago, 20 years ago, oak was super hot. Even at an auction value, it was super hot. It was hard to get your hands on it. Everyone wanted it. And now it's really difficult to sell at all. We did a great estate about 2 years ago. The house was lovely. It was in a great location. All of the furniture in that house was oak, and some of it was very unique in different pieces. I explained to the client, I said, your stuff is awesome. I love it, but there's not a market there steady, ready to pick up a lot of oak right now. So if we're left with anything, it's going to be some of your oak pieces. And sure enough, that's exactly, we sold all the other stuff, but there's quite a bit of oak left. So that's an example. Those brown wood pieces, people are buying to paint. And painted furniture is hot right now. It's great, but they've got to get it at a price where they can afford to put that work into it so that they can turn around and sell it. So That's one of the things that has taken a drastic dive. If you have a house full of furniture, please don't go donate it and throw it all away. It's not that it has no value. It's just that the value is not what it used to be. If you have cupboards and cupboards of your grandmother's depression glass, first of all, if you know what depression glass is, I love you. You are a person after my own heart. I love depression glass and everything about it. I actually think we'll do one of these videos at another date on what depression glass is and why it even exists. But it's taken a nosedive. There's a variety of reasons. Women don't entertain in the same way that we used to. We don't have people over the same way that we used to. So therefore, those entertainment items have, they've gone down. We're not living the same lives that our grandparents lived. So therefore, the market changes for those things. Family lore, age, certificates of authenticity, conditions. Sometimes people think, wow, I've got this crystal and it's so sparkling, it's clean, it's beautiful. Or I have this silver plate item and it's got patina on it and it's tarnished, so therefore it's got to be valuable. Not necessarily. There is a huge difference between crystal and pressed glass and cut glass. And it's not that those things aren't valuable. Again, please don't misinterpret what I'm saying. It's that they're not as valuable as they once were. So that just changes it. It makes it a little bit different. So also there's different types of value. So when you're determining how much something is worth, my dad's been in this business for a long time, and his thing is it's only worth as much as someone will give you. Honestly and truly, that is the truth. So you have to determine who you're going to market that piece to. If you have an insurance appraisal, is very, very different than a fair market valuation. Insurance appraisal is only going to be used in the case of loss. God forbid your house burns down. There has to be lots of documentation about what you have. The appraisals have to live through the fire, so to speak. And then the appraisal company is going to fight you to pay you that evaluation, but it's at least a starting point to start that fight, which is important in some things, definitely. But for the everyday person, just a normal fair market valuation is what you're talking about. Even in that, it varies. Are you selling to a dealer? If you're selling to a dealer, please understand that dealer there has to be some cushion in there for them to make some money. They're not going to pay you top dollar. If you're consigning it with an antique store, that's awesome. You may get a little bit higher, but you're going to pay, the commission in order to sell it with them, but you're also going to sit on it for a little while. A lot of times you have to sit on things for quite a while. And auction value. Auction values go up and down, and it's really, really difficult to determine an auction value. You're not going to find an auctioneer that's going to say, absolutely, I can get you X. Because they're not 100% sure. They've got to have at least two people sitting in their crowd or on their online auction that want that item. So you're not guaranteed with auction value. Fair market value is the world that we play in as far as estate sales. We typically find out what the auction value is, the online auction, the live auction, determine somewhere in the middle of there. We're not selling at wholesale, but we're also not selling at retail either. So you have to determine the market in which you want to sell the items that you have to. So that gives different values. So when someone gives you a value of something, there's a lot of variables there. It depends on what value they're giving you. I did have some dialogue with a lady last night about some values of items that she had. Please know these are valuations based on my opinion. I am not a certified appraiser. I do not profess to be a certified appraiser. These are just fair market values that I have found out in the real world. This is what you should be able to sell it for. So understand that too. There's a couple of reasons that these things have declined. Baby boomers play a big, big part in all economic drivers. You guys have played, you drove the toy industry. You drove the college industry. There weren't enough colleges to fit all of you guys, and colleges grew, and there's just so many things. The baby boomer generation is and always has been an economic driver. It is no different than now. However, You guys are flooding the market. You're downsizing. You're flooding the market with lots of things. And these generations behind you aren't ready to pick those things up. They don't find value in them. Don't be shocked if your kids don't want everything that you own. They're not going to just absorb everything that you own like our grandparents did. So our grandparents, your grandparents, they did that because their families were much larger. So my grandfather was one of 10 children. There were lots of people to divide Big Mama and Papa's stuff with, lots of people ready to pick it up and to take it and to love it and to cherish it. Families aren't that big anymore. So we don't have, 9 siblings or 8 siblings to divide it amongst. Plus our grandparents and their parents had much less stuff. You baby boomers bought that gotta collect something hook, line, and sinker. Some of your parents did as well. The Hummels are a great example of that. They're really flooding the market now. You bought them for your parents. You were spending $80 to $100, $125 a piece for them, sometimes much more than that. Now they're selling $25, $45 max. A $45 one is a really good one right now. John and I have also noticed that when you list them online, a lot of times they're going back to Germany, which is where they came from, which I think is a very interesting thing. So those type of things are flooding the market. John and I went to an auction one time in Maryland that had like 395 Hummels there. They were selling for about $5 a piece. So anytime you take a large collection and you flood the market, supply and demand comes into effect, and it just takes the value down so substantially. Plus, these next generations, they find value in IKEA furniture. They find value in those things. It's cheap, but it's disposable. They can throw it out, and that makes them feel okay when they move to their next place. They also don't know that they can come to an estate sale, for example, and buy good quality furniture at a really good price. Especially with estate sales, if you wait till that last day, furniture's half price, and it's good. It's, it works well. There's a lot of 20-somethings and 30-somethings that don't know that. We're trying to market to those people so they will know that they can furnish a home with good quality furniture and they don't have to go to IKEA. Some people love IKEA. The style is great. I have IKEA things in my own home, but it is virtually disposable. It's not going to be pieces of furniture that you can pass down to your children, that's for sure. So there is that mentality. Again, we just entertain differently. We live differently. Life is different now. So that's changed everything. I'm trying to think what other notes that I have. So we've talked about what's not hot. Let me tell you a little bit about some trends we're seeing, things that are hot. Toys. Not just vintage toys. Vintage toys would be your 1950s, 60s toys, but even toys going up to the 90s. 90s not vintage yet, but up to the 90s, some of that Ninja Turtle stuff, Power Ranger stuff, it's hot online right now. Anything that my age bracket can go online and pick up. I was a tomboy growing up, so He-Man, She-Ra, Thundercats, those kind of things, they do really well online, so therefore they drive that market up. As far as, with our estate sales at GC5, we have a lot of online resellers that shop with us. So they're looking for those items as well. So don't have a yard sale and give all those things away, because some of those things have significant value. Mid-century modern is still pretty hot. At one point it was retro, like 1940s, 50s, kind of retro style. That's kind of gone. Kitsch is still in some respect, but that mid-century modern, if you have Danish mid-century modern signed pieces, you're doing pretty good, and those have maintained their value. Dansk, anything Dansk, candle holders, salt and pepper shakers, china, it's all good, so hold on to it. Don't dismiss it because you thought it was ugly and it was a trend that your mother loved. Those trendy things are pretty hot right now. Also, let's see, I'm referring to my notes. Some old tech items, so some, vintage Apple, Atari, that kind of stuff in the right marketplace, typically would be online, holds its value. Some of your glass stuff, your signed art glass, your Lalique is still, doing okay. Some of your signed paperweight art glass stuff. We had some paperweights last weekend that, we're selling for about $45 to $65 a piece, and they sold. So the biggest thing that we tell our clients all the time, don't throw away or donate. There's times to do that, and that's at the end. It is not at the beginning. So please make sure that you consult a professional, be an auction company, an estate company, have them come in and point you in the right direction. Don't just go donate and throw away. We went on a consult one time where an attorney was in charge of the estate. His wife went in to clean it up because they couldn't find an estate sale company to take it. She had probably 5 or 6 vintage handbags over in the corner. And she said, I donated like 150 other ones. You didn't want those. Those were junk. Even if I had sold them at $5 a piece, that was a lot of money to throw away for the estate, just because she didn't deem it to be relevant. People will buy anything. I say that all the time. People will buy anything. Every weekend, week in and week out, we sell china, crystal, sterling, antiques, but we also sell half bottles of cleaner, detergent, linens. We sell used towels, used bed linens. We sell all kinds of stuff. So yeah, don't throw stuff away. Don't donate. There's time for that at the end. All right, guys, this has been our talk on value. I hope that's helped. If you watch it later, because I know some people were like, hey, 8:30 doesn't work for me. I want to watch it later. If you do and you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask. We're going to get back to you. We will answer your questions in the best way that we know how. And we thank you so much for joining in. We are super excited about this. Have a great night, guys.